All right. Good morning, everybody. This is a special call. My name is Dave Savage, CEO of MortgageCoach. And I honestly don't know how many times I've interviewed you, Tim, but let's just say countless times we've had Tim Braheem as a leader in the Mortgage Coach community. Welcome, Mr. Braheem.
Thank you. Thanks, man, for having me.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you, brother. This is a kind of a hallmark call. While I've interviewed you a lot on a lot of different topics that I think are super important. This whole concept of the perfect loan process. I mean, I think you really first started coining that term. What year do you think you started using the
99?
Yeah, so in 1999.
Before some of your viewers were born.
Yeah, right. Gosh, it's been a long time. We've done a lot of stuff together over the years.
Yeah.
So in 1999, you got clear on this concept that I need a perfect loan process. It needs to be documented. And you got really clear that this is my ultimate competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And then folks, in 2013, I did an interview with Tim, which, by the way, if you're watching this on video, there'll be a link below. If you're watching this live, don't go click on it now, but it's at our YouTube channel. And I pushed it into our Facebook group. And regardless of what Tim and I talk about today, I think it's an important video. I think it's worth your time if you haven't watched it. We actually edited it down. It was like a 1-hour call that we edited into about 30 minutes.
You guys did a fantastic job too. I mean, really, it's like we actually assign it to all of our clients to watch because, you guys did such a wonderful job with it.
Yeah. Now, remember, folks, that was in 2013. Like, we look at those edits now and we're kind of like, it was awesome in 2013. There is another level.
Try going back and looking at some of the stuff in Loan Toolbox. You'll get it.
Right. Yeah. I know. All the cartoon characters and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
No doubt. So guys, what we want to do today is Tim and I are just going to have an organic conversation. What's the same and more important, what's different? And we don't really know where this is going to go. If you guys have questions, ask them. We're broadcasting on Facebook Live. So if you're in our Facebook group and you want to ask us a question, bring it. And if you're in Zoom, we'll keep an eye on chat and we'll try to get your queue up questions. So Tim, let's start. Not by what's new, but by what's the same.
Yeah, I think that is a good place to start. Thanks for that tee up. First of all, I would say, I don't know where this call is going either, Dave, but I would have to, where'd you go, Dave? Okay, so I guess it's just me solo now. I don't know where this call's going today, and I don't know where Dave went. There he is. But I was just making.
I had to get my lights on, man.
Disappeared. I do know this, that the video that you're referencing is really important for everybody to watch, because I don't think that we're going to be necessarily going into the why a perfect loan process and the whole metaphor of a relay race today and all of that. But I think it's super important for everybody to view that, to really get a grasp of philosophically what it is. But to answer your question, what's the same? What is the same in my mind is that you have to have a system. When you think about it, any business, wins, any successful business wins with their systems, right? So like having a system for doing what you do, which is the facilitation of a loan from the time that the lead calls in until the loan closes, and even extending that system to post-closing is critical, because what we're really trying to create is an experience. People will ultimately pay for a radical experience. And that was the whole concept and intentionality behind the perfect loan process in the first place, was how do, instead of it being like a different experience every time for us and for them, how do we systemize this thing that we call a lead, that we then convert, that we then turn into an in-process loan, that we then close, that we then nurture and incubate the relationship with? How do we create a flow, if you will, that creates a predictable and replicable result, which is somebody who's like, wow, like that was an awesome experience and I want to come back. And I always reference a conversation that I had many, many years ago with a loan originator that I used to work with, who left, and he went to become a life insurance agent. And about 6 months later, he called me up and he's like, how you been? And I'm like, hey, you want to come over and shoot some pool and throw something on the barbecue? And he came over to my house and we're shooting pool one day. And this is in like 1995 or 6 or something. And he says, you really need to get out of the mortgage business, because the life insurance business has an annuity income stream and the mortgage business doesn't. And I thought about that and I was like, I don't agree with you. I think the mortgage business does have an annuity income stream. Statistically, people will move in and out of loans at some rate, 3.5 years, 4 years, whatever it is. It kind of fluctuates depending upon rate fluctuation, et cetera. And if I'm doing an exceptional job on every loan that I do, I am technically creating an annuity income stream in the future because those people are assured of coming back. And it goes further than that, of course. They're likely to refer people to me. And one more component of it is that the agents involved in that transaction, both on the buyers and listing side, are going to be so wildly impressed that they're going to send business to me. So I want you to be thinking about the seriousness of using the loan as an ability to create an annuity income for you. And Caleb LeGrand, who I know you had, the three of us were on a call together a couple of years ago, who's one of the great loan officers in the country and a friend and a client of mine. He said something that really made me smile a couple of years ago. I mean, he's been a massive adopter of the perfect loan process. He used to do about 16 to 18 loans a month, and he does like 40 loans a month now. He would tell you that the perfect loan process is probably the single most important thing that he's ever implemented. And he said to me, he said, I consider the perfect loan process to be marketing. And I started to laugh because I remember the days when we first formed Loan Toolbox and we were creating the architecture for the website. And my technology team was saying, the perfect loan process belongs in this category called operational systems. And I'm like, I think it belongs in marketing. And they're like, well, it's not marketing. And I'm like, it really is, because check this out. Every time you do a loan for someone, when you think about it, you've got a 45 to 60 day window where there are several people, listing agent, buyer's agent, the buyer, at very minimum, that have to read your emails, take your phone calls, read your texts, listen to your messages that you've left on their voicemail, et cetera. They have to, because they're engaged in a transaction with you. And if you've got their attention, you can't bungle that opportunity. I mean, you have an opportunity where you have a captive audience of incredibly important people for your future in the business that are looking at every correspondence that you're sending. And if you have a system for the flow of that loan and to take advantage of moments of power, milestone opportunities during the process where you can market to them, impress them, and exceed their expectations, you're really setting yourself up for future business. So that's kind of the thing that has not changed. I mean, it's still, you still do a loan, and on every loan you have human beings involved, and there's connection opportunities to be made, and there's an opportunity to really impress and to service them and exceed their expectations and create an experience for them. And I think it's even more important now than ever before, because what your competition is going to be the lending trees, the Rocket Mortgages, the Amazons, et cetera. And yes, they will have a system for facilitating loans technologically, but it will be missing the dynamic human component and the connection piece, which is really where the perfect loan process 2.0 is going to take it to the next level as we're getting ready to architect it.
I love it. I love it. So a couple takeaways I hope everybody got is this concept that your perfect loan process is more important than it ever was before as we prepare to compete in 2020 and beyond. One of the reasons I'm calling this the 2020 perfect loan process is because I just think if you are a referral-based local lender or loan officer, it's like it's already, compression is here, but it's coming rapidly, and it's coming more. And if you don't differentiate yourself at the point of sale, and I think the quote you said, people will pay for a radical experience, and so if you're not delivering a radically personalized experience, you're not gonna kill it. You're not going to optimize your success. So a couple things, guys. I also think it's important to note what hasn't changed, and I heard you use the word consistency. And I still find that is something that really delineates average producers versus the best, is the best are delivering that radically personalized experience each and every time with a similar playbook. And average loan officers are kind of like, well, this person doesn't need that. I'm too busy today. oh, this month is crazy and I'm closing lots of loans, so I'm going to sacrifice my perfect loan experience. And the best of the best, they just figure out how to do it. They staff up for it. They work harder when they need to do it. They manage their team really well. They hire the right people so that they've got people that have their same values and show up with that same attitude. They run cultures where people, the customer is your number one customer is your team, and your team shows up. So there's so much going on that I think is the same, but I do know there's a lot that's different. So let's do this, Tim. First of all, Mortgage Coach community. My goal is that we're going to do a great conversation here, and out of this, I'm going to write an article, which is 2020 Perfect Loan Process. I know this will be something that Tim and his team use as they rebuild what they're calling their 2.0 perfect loan process. So if you have takeaways or quotes, share those in comments. And remember, if you have questions, if Tim and I don't get to them during this conversation, we will get to them. We'll either do another call or we'll answer them on Facebook. We'll get all your questions answered. So Tim, before we transition to what's different and new, anything else you want to add is just kind of a foundation of what's the same, or any broad ranging principles that you want to insert right now before we get tactical on what's new?
Well, I just want to concur with what you said too. Like, I mean, the thing is that it used to astonish me as to how many loan originators would send a total cost analysis out to just certain clients. I'm like, why would you ever take that chance to not send it out to every client? I mean, it's a strategic advantage. It should be a part of your new norm. It should be just an absolute. Like, it doesn't matter if the person, is doing a refi or a purchase, or if they are sophisticated or not, or if you're saving them $50 a month or $500 a month, you should do it on every loan. And the same should be said about the perfect loan process. It's not a negotiable, I mean, it's a process that you run your business by, and it has the intentionality of making an impact and creating loyalty. So yeah, I just want to really support what you said there. I think it was very important.
And so I want to, Sally, thank you for your quote. She put a quote in here: businesses win on systems. So that was a great takeaway. Thanks for putting an explanation on that. And
Hey, Sally.
Hey, Sally. You remember Sally back in Loan Toolbox days?
How could I forget Sally Bucci?
I know. Kidding.
Yeah.
So I also hope Mortgage Coach members heard what Tim just said, and he focused on, hey, total cost analysis for everyone. Not only should you do that because it's an advantage, not only should you do that because that's the way you deliver radically personalized experience, but if you do it on everyone, you get really good at it. You get really fast at it.
That's right.
And if you do it on some, you're sacrificing the quality in which you do it. So you're never going to be, whatever your best is, you won't get there. And as far as the speed goes, which, by the way, speed and personalization go hand in hand. The best of the best, they fly. They do things with ease, but they do them in a really high quality. And so I just want to make that point that if you take something like Mortgage Coach, or you take something like I update my CRM at the first call, at the point of sale, if you take those things and you don't do them all the time, you won't get good at it. And by the way, either will your team. So like when it comes to scaling, you'll start falling down. Yeah.
So think of it as so every February, I think this, but every February we host a 4-day retreat here in Southern California that is exclusive for transaction coordinators and loan processors. Okay. And it's the only one that I know of in the industry, and we spend a lot of time on time management and a tremendous amount of time on the perfect loan process and customer service systems. And these are the teams of our clients that are in the Leadership 360 program. We usually have between 30 and 35 people at this retreat every year. And it's from that retreat that we're constantly tweaking and adjusting, updating the perfect loan process, because when things like Dodd-Frank come into play, and then, even more recent, enhancements and changes to the industry and requirements and CD reviews and all that kind of stuff, that's all been updated into the more recent versions of the perfect loan process that we've created. But I tell people this, or I use this phraseology all the time, is that what we're doing here is we're looking to build better habits. Okay. So to really support what you're saying there, Dave, it's like you only get good at things that you do repetitively. And when you do them repetitively, not only does the quality of that experience for the customer and for you improve, but the efficiency improves. So I really 100% agree with you on that. I mean, what we're seeing is that people that have adopted the perfect loan process and have been doing it consistently for a while can just flat out fund more loans with a higher quality of experience to the customer than teams that aren't.
Love it. So I want you guys to write something down. You pick your habits. Like, you get to choose what habits you're going to have, what you're going to do. And then your habits, they pick your level of success. They pick your career. So you get to pick the habits, and then the habits that you pick will really define your future in this mortgage industry. And I do think in 2020 and beyond, the habit of using your CRM daily, using your CRM in a highly efficient, effective way, it's no longer an option. It's a habit of success. Total cost analysis, it's no longer an option. Whatever point of sale app, some people use it, some people don't. If you want to kill it in the future, you got to pick these habits, and then you got to make it right. So, Tim, what's different? Like, what are some of let's go high level, let's get into the weeds. And remember, folks, I haven't seen a lot of questions come in yet. So please, if we say something that you love, and like that was a takeaway, share it in comments. And if you have a question, bring the questions. Tim?
Sure. So what's different? So before I get into what's different, let me just kind of state I think a belief that I think a lot of people will agree with, which is that, the way to be successful in the future in the mortgage business is to be able to combine the utilization of technology. And you got to be ahead of the curve with that right now. I mean, things are changing so fast, and that's where the price compression is coming from. And the way to be able to effectively compete, in today's in the future market is to be able to utilize technology to streamline the loan process. So that's a part of what's changed. But where the insulation comes is the combination of that with the high touch connection, right? So like really being able to connect with the customer on a deep level. People think that I think that there's a misunderstanding that that's less important now, and that people don't want that as much because people are so used to using technology. I actually think it's the opposite. I think that people miss the connection more than ever before because there's so much less of it. And I think that there's an opportunity to combine connection with speed and efficiency of technology and to create a dynamic business experience that the Amazons and Lending Trees and Quickens are not going to be able to provide, right? They're going to be able to provide the speed and efficiency, but without the deep connection. And I think that's the opportunity that originators have. So what really does that is some old school mechanisms, like, a personal handwritten note card is even more powerful now than it was 15 years ago because we don't get them anymore. Okay. And some new school mechanisms, which is the utilization of video. So video will be a major component of the Perfect Loan Process 2.0. Next week, Craig Strent and Jim Bakhtiar are two of my very close friends that are in the L360 family that are both not only tremendous people and originators, but great adopters of the Perfect Loan Process. They're going to be in town. We're going to sit down and we're going to start to kind of sketch out what that 2.0 version looks like. So a little bit of a think tank collaboration between the three of us. And then we'll be putting out to the remainder of our community for other ideas to try to really make this thing as powerful as possible. But video is the way of the future, or the way of the present. In fact, if you're not doing it right now, you're falling behind, most definitely. So as an example, and I talked about this at Stephen Marshall's event in Las Vegas from the stage, but I'm going to give a couple of examples of how to dynamically use video in your loan process. So think about it for a minute. The first phone call comes in. You speak with the client on the phone, okay? You're just another person, another voice on the other side of the phone. They have a connection with you that is more significant than if you're just working online, but it's not as significant as you would ultimately want it to be to create separation. So you have that initial dialogue with them, and you get off the phone with them, there's an opportunity for you to create a video that you send to them, thanking them for the time that they just spent with you. So I would like everybody to start to embrace the utilization of video. You should have a tripod. If there's a loan originator that doesn't have a tripod in their office, they're making a huge mistake. You need to have a tripod, a little handheld clicker, and a lavalier mic that plugs into the back end of your phone. And you need to be consistently connecting with people with the utilization of video as a part of your loan process. So I get done talking to the client. I use my typical scripts that you guys have heard me say a million times before about, I'm going to do a little bit of homework and research on your behalf. I'm not going to charge you for it. I'm going to come back tomorrow by 5 o'clock with 3 or 4 different loan options, which is the TCA, of course. Okay. And I hang up that call with them. I turn my phone around. I simply hit the clicker and I say to them, hey, Dave, it's Tim Braheem. We just got off the phone with each other. I thought it would be helpful for you to associate, voice with face. I want to say thank you for taking the time to talk with me. I really enjoyed our conversation. And thanks for some of the personal things that you shared with me that are important to you. I took very, concise notes on that. My team and I are really looking forward to working with you. I'm going to go ahead and do that research. You'll be getting something from me in an email tomorrow by 5 o'clock, and I'll look forward to jumping on the call with you at that time. Okay. So now, if this individual gets off the phone with me and starts to surf on the internet or starts to talk to somebody else, I'm more insulated from the competition because I've made a connection with them. Now, it doesn't just stop there. It's not going to be that one video that's going to do it, but it needs to be consistent throughout the loan process. So Jim Bakhtiar, who's brilliant at this stuff, he has a little placard thing. I'm going to use the back of a notepad, but he has like something about this big that is like a little dry erase board, right? So if he were doing it and he just got off the phone with you, Dave, he would probably write on here and marks a lot, thank you, Dave. And that when the email comes across, you would see, thank you, Dave. Okay. So you're going to click on that, right? Because you're curious, like, thank you for what? So that sucks you into the video. Okay. Is that still shot, that thumbnail of the video. Okay. He then delivers that message. Now he continues the consultative process. When he gets the person to say yes, and he introduces them to his transaction coordinator, Christy Kiley, okay, and sets up the appointment for the paperwork to be handled and all of that with her, the next correspondence that the client's going to get is a video from Christy Kiley. And it may say something like, super happy to meet you, Dave, as the thumbnail, right? And then you click on it, it's like, hey, Dave, my name's Christy Kiley. And she's just in her office, dress normal. People get a little freaked out and they think they need to go get they need a makeup artist to come in and get them all doctored up. None of that. Okay. You don't need to look special. Turn your hat on backwards or whatever and just get on video. This is just two people talking. He's like, hey, Dave, my name's Christy. It's so nice to meet you. I'm really looking forward to working with you and your family on your loan. I know that Jimbo told you that I'd be giving you a call. I've got your paperwork here. I'm going to be sending you an email here in the next couple hours with any documentation I need to get from you. Do me a favor. It's really important to me. This is a key phrase that they made up that I really love. Do me a favor. It's really important to me to know who it is that I'm working with and serving over the next 45 days. If you don't mind, send me a photo of you and your family. Bro, the stuff that I'm seeing coming out of his pipeline is crazy. People are sending emails back. He's forwarding me saying, that video you sent me was so cool. It was so nice to be able to associate face and voice. I'm really looking forward to working with you. Here's a photo of me and my family that we just took a couple weeks ago on our summer vacation. Connections are being forged. People are starting to feel like they're working with other human beings that care about them, which is a key component. After it goes from her to the processor, same thing. JoJo is what her nickname is. Her name's Joanna. She's got her camera up here in the right-hand corner. It's kind of facing down at her. She's got the file open in front of her on her computer. She's like, hi, my name's Joanna. I'm reviewing your file. Really looking forward to working with you. Christy forwarded to me the photo of you and your family. Your children are so beautiful. If you need anything over the course of the next 2 weeks, know that I'm here. I'm going to be sending you an email with my contact information. So throughout the process, everybody's connecting with video with the customer. Now, the last thing that I'll say, and then I'll toss it over to you, and then we can circle back to some other tips on this, is there's another benefit here that's happening, okay? And the benefit that I think that the processors and transaction coordinators need to embrace, that we talked to them about in the workshop that I referenced, is that it's a lot harder to be an ass and to be pissed off at somebody that you've never met. So if everybody in the process is connecting via video with the borrower, with the listing agent, if something goes down that's not quite kosher on the file, and maybe you have a delay of a day on loan approval or whatever, you're going to be treated a lot more respectfully as somebody who has connected with them and they can associate face and voice with, and you're a real human being, versus somebody that has hidden behind email the whole time. It's a lot easier to send a nasty email or to leave a voicemail to somebody you've never met. But when you've actually connected with someone, it's a lot more difficult to be rude to them. So the processors are finding that it's a more enjoyable experience to work the loan when they're creating a deeper connection with the customer and the agents involved.
So I want to do a couple of things. One, I want to make sure tactically everybody on this call really understood what Tim laid out. Also, I want to share some best practices from, Craig and Jim both use the total cost analysis at the point of sale. So I know some of the ways in which they use MortgageCoach, and I know how other top loan officers are using that and using the video feature. So one thing I want to do is not only should everybody on this call have a tripod, one of the things that I use a lot now, Tim, I don't know if you can see it, but it's the same type of phone thing that you'd put in your car on a dash. And you can carry that with you. And any place that there's glass, you can set that up, go hands-free, and record a video. So call it the virtual mortgage professional that, and I'm creating video every day, all day. It's a great way to communicate. Sometimes it's a text video. I'm going to text someone, I just add a quick video in the text. Sometimes it's a Facebook video. Lots of times it's a MortgageCoach video. So I just want everybody on.
You use a clicker?
I don't. I have one.
But then they see this, though, right? They see.
I've got it figured out, so they really don't. I have a clicker.
Move your arm around and.
Yeah, I have a clicker. If I just sat at a desk all day and I, recorded from one place, I'd probably do the clicker. But I have to Bluetooth it up, and it's informal. And by the way, that's another thing I hope you got is the authenticity of this. The fact, hat on backwards, referred to Jim as Jimbo. And that's another reason why I don't care about the clicker, because this is just me and you, me clicking a button, having a quick conversation with you. This is not a marketing message. This is a personal connection. So Tim, no, I think for a personal connection, call it a video memo. Clickers are great. It's clean. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying you don't care. I don't think it's important. I think it's important that you emotionally connect. I think it's important that you do it. And whatever you have to do to make it easy to do it, that's what's important. So
and let me say a couple of things because I think that I just did a conference call with my family, the L360 family, a couple of weeks ago on the subject matter of creating video. And respectfully, most of the originators out there do not do a good job with this. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why. First of all, that I see people that are like this far away, you can't see them. Okay. And then I see other people who have the camera like this and half the screen is up at the ceiling, and they're not framed up correctly. I was just talking to Bill Hillestad about this the other day. We were having a call about what polls on social media. You got to be framed in right about here. Okay. So you can see me. The next thing is if you notice the difference here, okay, you feel like I'm talking directly to you and connecting with you right now because I'm looking directly into the camera. Okay. Versus if I'm talking to you right here, it's not the same experience. I'm looking over to the side, which I see all the time. And then I see even worse, somebody doing this because they're reading something that they wrote. To Dave's point, you're making it too hard. You're making it too hard. Just talk to them as if they were in front of you. The only difference is they're on the other side of a camera, but look into the camera lens, just like you'd look into their eyes and have some fun with this. Don't make it so, another thing I see a lot is, hands folded on the desk and wearing their shirt. None of that crap. Like, just get in there and talk to them and have some fun. This is what Jimbo does an amazing job of, is that he has a lot of fun. He does a lot of funny things. Sometimes he records a video. He's got one of his dogs on his lap in his office. Okay. It's real. It's personable. People feel like they're talking to another person just like them. And that's the point of the whole thing. So if I can address Luke's question here for a second, Dave, because he asked a great question. Is it okay?
Well, is it going to go off video or?
No, it's on the subject matter of video.
Okay,
He says, does all of that video usage require a next level of job interviewing requirements for staff? I get this a lot, Luke, which is people saying, well, my staff won't do video. They're old school. They don't like what my answer is as their coach. Tough. Do they want a job? It's not a negotiable. Okay. Businesses don't run like that. When businesses go through evolutionary processes, that would be like, 25 years ago, you're saying, we're going to continue to just process loans via phone call and via paper because my team isn't comfortable using a computer and doesn't know how to send an email. No, they need to adopt. So the conversation that you need to be having with your staff is, look, I want to insulate you from layoffs in the future. I want to ensure your job security. And the way that we got to do it is we got to connect more with people, and we got to use technology to do that. And we got to be innovative and creative and one step ahead of the curve. And I can promise you this, like Christy Kiley is a perfect example. She was woefully uncomfortable on camera when Jimbo first made her start to do this as his transaction coordinator. She is awesome on camera now because she just had to do it about 20 times. And then all of a sudden it becomes the new norm and you get comfortable with it. But appeasing people and enabling people to be stagnant, that's not good leadership. I mean, your job as a leader is to impart upon them the importance of always being one step ahead to ensure that you guys are, as a team, always successful. Dave.
Wow. Boom. That was awesome. So not only did everybody get a great leadership conversation for your team, I mean, I think everybody who's not using video and who hasn't done it 20 times, you got some great leadership for yourself. So Tim, that was fantastic. So tactically, again, I want everybody, and I did a call, I don't know, many months ago. If anybody wants it, ask for it. And it was an hour where I talked about all the different kinds of videos: text video, email video, Facebook video, mortgage coach video. The modern mortgage professional, you really need to think of video it's just like writing in an email. It's another form of medium. And now it's what channel do I deliver it? And so when it comes to, the video that has to do with loan terms, that's a mortgage coach video. And more, you're seeing not only loan officers add the video, even if the family came in, met in the office, you had a great emotional connection, now they left. Remember, everybody involved in that transaction wasn't in your office. There are other stakeholders, buddy at work that, is a real estate expert that is going to be selling his lender, father-in-law that's like skeptical of anybody you're working with and he's giving the down payment. He wants you to work with his lender. So giving the options, adding the TCA video, you're seeing that more and more because how many stakeholders are involved in a transaction. And then you're seeing more and more. We made it so it's so easy. I'm showing it on the app. Click the button, click a video, record it. It's so easy to just go from I had a conversation to I'm either adding a video to a total cost analysis or I'm updating the video. So that was the point I wanted to make for the mortgage coach community. You are seeing more and more, especially with the longer pre-qual funnels. You meet with the client, have a great meeting, provide them with a couple options. And now in order to, stay top of mind over the 2 to 3 months, 5 months it takes to get a home in escrow, it's like they're texting them, hey, would you like me to update that total cost analysis? And when you update it, say, hey, I also updated the video with some perspectives on the market. So I just want everybody to start thinking, one, there's a lot of different videos, email video, text video, YouTube channel videos, kind of your one and done transactional things. And then there's the total cost. And I really hope everybody comes away from this conversation with Tim and I that a cornerstone to the perfect loan process of 2020 is video. And you're doing a lot of them, and you're doing them in a way that's on point. You're doing them in a way that's super authentic and not overly done. And anyways, I think we've kind of crushed the topic. If anybody else has a question,
Well, I
Let
do
us
want to say, let me say one other thing. Like, don't be shy about this, gang. This is a perfectly acceptable thing to do, okay, for your video, in my mind. As long as you can see you, okay, you get off the phone and you just turn it around and you're holding it. You can even be walking. Hey, it's Tim. I just got off the phone with you. I just wanted to let you associate face to face. It was such a pleasure to speak with you. I'm going out to grab a bite to eat for lunch. When I get back, I'm going to start that research on those loan programs for you. And I promise you I'll have it by tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Really nice to connect with you. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you, talk with you soon. Boom. It's like, think about it. That's so much more powerful than an email. Like, it's just, it crushes all other forms of communication. So can I give them the suggestion that I have about telling the story about the client that I talked about in Vegas? I know that you were at my presentation.
no, you can't tell them that
Okay.
story. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding.
Okay. So this is something that I really recommend that everybody start doing. Okay. Right now we have low inventory. We've had it for a while. Okay. Buyers agents are frustrated and struggling to get offers accepted. And there's a need for you to be separating yourself from your competitors who are not thinking out of the box and who are not doing the right things to assist the buyers in creating a competitive edge for them during the offer process. So when you're talking to a client for the first time, one of the things that I want you to be sharing with them is that, Mr. Jones, in today's competitive environment, we're seeing more and more buyers that are having to make offers on numerous properties before they get accepted. Bidding wars are happening. They're having to pay more for properties than they would like to pay. And sometimes they're even just getting priced out of the market. And what I'm acutely aware of is that there's a human being on the other end of every transaction, and that's the seller. And one of the grave mistakes that loan originators make is they don't humanize their buyer. They don't create a scenario where the buyer and the seller can have and form a connection. So what I want to do is ask you some questions about you and your family. I want a friend request you on Facebook so I can kind of check out some of your photos and have an opportunity to see what your hobbies are, how many children you have, how old they are. Tell me a little bit about what neighborhoods you want to buy in and why you want to buy in them. What's important to you? Is it important that the house backs open space because you love nature and hiking? Is it important that it's in a certain scholastic neighborhood because your kids, you want your kids to go to a certain school? I need to know as much information on you as possible, because what I'm going to do is, after we've gotten your loan fully approved, I'm not going to be just like any other lender that provides just a one-page pre-approval letter. I'm going to provide that like everybody else does, but I'm going to accompany that with a short video from me about you. I want to tell a story about you. I want to create separation and humanize you. So when your offer is presented by your agent to the listing agent and the seller, they feel an emotional connection to you. There are things that they have in common with you. So in other words, the way the video may sound, gang, is something like this. Hi, my name is Tim Braheem with First Rate Financial. And if you're watching this video, it's because we're making an offer on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Savage. And I want to tell you a little bit about them. First of all, they're completely approved for a loan. You have the pre-approval letter. They've gone through the underwriting process in total. The only thing that we're waiting for is a viable property that appraises accordingly. But I can assure you that they're a cash buyer at this point. We can close in 20 days. But there's some important things that I think that you need to know about the Savages that I think would maybe have an impact on your decision-making process. They have 2 young children that are ages 5 and 7. They really want their children to be in the school district that yours is in. Perhaps when you bought your home, you had children their age, and that's why you chose this home. Additionally, Mr. Savage is really into sports. He went to the University of Southern California. He's a big Trojans football fan. Mrs. Savage is very much a philanthropist. She volunteers at the local animal shelter. She really loves hiking and nature. So these are just some things about them that I thought that you'd like to know. Please let me know if you have any questions. We look forward to hopefully working with you on this transaction, and I'm here to serve in any way I can, or something along those lines. I just made all that up as I was going along. Now think about it. I presented this to Dave at point of sale that I was going to do this. Nobody else is going to do this. If he talks to Lending Tree, if he talks to Rocket, if he talks to one of your competitors down the street, they're not going to offer this service. I've justified for him why it's important, because I need to separate him from 4 other offers that are being presented, all of which have the same damn pre-approval letter that most loan officers send out. Okay, so I score points with Dave at point of sale. Number 2, I also got Dave in a very creative way to agree to accept a Facebook friend request from me. right? Which is something that most loan originators can't figure out how to integrate that into the initial dialogue at point of sale. Now, the first thing I'm going to do when I get off the phone with Dave is I'm going to friend request him. When he responds and accepts my friend request, I'm going to go in and I'm going to like some of his photos, okay? Which is going to make him feel like he needs to go check out my Facebook page, because reciprocity kicks in. When you get likes, you tend to turn around and go back and like other people's stuff. Okay, now he's going to learn a little bit about me and my family. So I'm starting to become less generic to him as a loan originator and more humanized. He's going to see things about me that he likes and he can connect with. It's all a part of this connection process and using video strategically. Now, my buyer's agent's going to love it, right? Because I'm going to provide the video to my buyer's agent, who's going to accompany that with the pre-approval letter, and it's going to give them something unique to present that hopefully gets more offers accepted. But lastly, is that you're marketing yourself in a very unique way to the listing agents, because every time an offer is presented, this video comes with it. If it takes 3 offers to get accepted, that's 3 listing agents that got an opportunity to watch a video with you. You start to become more of a household name. You start to become more viral in your community. Mike Trejo, who's in Northern California, a highly competitive market, forwarded an email to me about 2 months ago from a listing agent that was sent to the buyer's agent saying, wow, this loan officer just did something really cool. This video that he created is so awesome. And they accepted the offer. He ended up working with them on the transaction. So that's another creative and unique way to use video to start to create more connection with everybody involved in the community.
So this is huge. I mean, we're getting great feedback live on the call. That's a huge strategy. I want to break down a few things, because remember, I'm going to write an article, 2020 Perfect Loan Process Playbook. And I heard a couple principles. So one, I pulled a principle out of what Tim just said. And what's different about 2020 Perfect Loan Process in 2013, 2020, it's about purchases. You know, you've got to have a process that's not only, hey, come meet with me, make some mortgage options, let's go. It's, hey, come meet with me, and maybe 3 months, 6 months from now, you have a home in escrow. And at least for now, you know, who knows how long this tight inventory will last, but that competitive differentiator that, hey, not only will I help get you the best loan, not only will I manage this mortgage over time and help you build wealth with real estate and have the best loan, but I'm going to help you get your offer accepted. So that's a principle. And then, of course, a strategy is, hey, not only am I going to do this total cost analysis, help you pick the right loan, I'm going to help tell your story to another family so that you have an advantage. So that's a strategy, guys. So principle, strategy, this is how you win. Also, you said something that, you know, kind of threw me back to one of the key principles from our loan conversion playbook. By the way, if you haven't, lead conversion playbook, if you haven't checked that out, check it out below. But it had 3 principles and it had 12 strategies. And basically, you know, one of the same strategies or one of the same principles of that playbook works in this playbook is, and the loan officer with the most digital friends wins. Back in 2013, it was the loan officer with the most friends wins. 2020, loan officer with the most digital friends wins. And Tim, you know, kind of covered one of the key foundations, which is you're connected on social. You have a social strategy. Every one of your clients that you're building a friendship with connects with you on social. And by the way, the other caveat, Tim didn't mention it, but I'm sure he knows this, is that they've downloaded your apps. You know, you got them to download your MortgageCoach app. If you have a transaction point of sale app, they've downloaded your app, so that if they're connected with you on social, if they've downloaded your apps, they can now quickly, efficiently do business and life together. And then one more caveat, and I'm going to throw it back to you, Tim, is that you've also figured out what's their favorite channel to communicate. You know, is this a family that's text, email, phone call? Is this a family that's Facebook Messenger, text, email? Is this a family that no Facebook, only my personal friends text me, it's email or phone call? In today's world, to build a digital friendship with someone, you got to understand the preferences and the way that they want you to connect and communicate. And by the way, you know, more and more millennials, it's Instagram. You know, no Facebook. I do life on Instagram. So Tim, anything you want to add to some of the principles and strategies that I just unpacked?
Yeah, and then I want to just add answer a couple of these quick questions over here to the right. But so the thing that I think that everybody should be also thinking about as it relates to video is the subject matter of pre-approvals, right? So you've got this war chest of pre-approvals that builds up over time. I mean, I have a loan originator, Michael Shane, in the state of Washington, who has over 450 pre-approved borrowers. We did the math on that. That's over $2 million in commissions that he's got sitting there. So like, what do we need to do to incubate and nurture those relationships to ensure that when they do find a property, whether it be 3 months from now or 3 years from now, they're using him? So using video as a means of staying in communication with people in an intelligent and efficient way is really important. So when there is a significant amount of news that comes across, like the Fed raises rates, or we've seen inventory tighten up even more, or new home sales statistics, or things like that, start thinking along the lines of how can you create somewhat of a generic video. Hey, it's Tim Braheem with First Rate Financial, and I just wanted to give you an update on something really important. Housing numbers just came out, blah, 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 blah. I just wanted you to know that I'm thinking about you. I'm here for you. If you have any questions, let us know, da, da, da. And boom, you send it out to the 50 people that you have that are pre-approved. It's a much more efficient way of staying in touch with people and staying connected. And if they can see you, they're reminded of the fact that you're a real human being, somebody that's working for them, and the loyalty is enhanced versus if you're just shooting them an email. Again, it's an entirely different piece of connection. The other thing is, if I were in the business right now, here's what I would be doing to capture realtor business. I tell people in our program all the time, I'm like probably 75% of the content that is taught in the Leadership 360 program is applicable to real estate agents. Time management, marketing, social media marketing strategies, certain scripts, et cetera, et cetera. I would be repurposing that information and stuff that you learn on Dave's, this platform. I mean, there's such a wealth of information. I'd be taking notes as to things that you could be teaching your realtor partners, and just, again, you don't have to even have the tripod. You could just turn around. Hey, it's Tim Braheem. I just wanted to say hi to you. I just got off of a really incredible conference call where I learned something that I thought that made me think of you, that I think that you would probably find to be valuable. And you share the tip and you send it out to your 20 realtors or your 30 realtors that you're working with. Way back in the day and back in the Loan Toolbox days, but back even before that, when I was a loan officer, Bill Hillestad had written over 100 what are called business boosters for realtors. These were one-page business tips for real estate agents. And Bill used to be my partner back in 1995. And I religiously would drip those on real estate agents every single week, giving them another business tip. This is just that on steroids, with a lot deeper connection and a lot greater efficiency, is doing it in the form of video. Before I answer a couple of these questions to the right, did you want to say something, Dave?
Yeah, well, let me do a quick hit, because we have less than 15 minutes, and I do want to stay on point. I will answer a few of the questions. So one, we're not going to get into recommending specific CRMs or video technology platforms. However, there are a number of comments, like if you go to our Facebook group and you ask that question, you'll get a lot of answers. The only thing I will say on it is the best CRMs, one, they integrate with MortgageCoach, and most of them do. And the best CRM is the one that you use. At the end of the day, if you use your CRM, it will deliver an ROI for you. But again, if you want to ask those questions and get a big audience, ask those in our Facebook group. So I did want to speak to that. Anything you want to add to that, Tim?
Yeah, the question was asked, is it BombBomb? So there's a lot of different mechanisms to deliver some of these videos that I'm talking about, and BombBomb certainly is one of them. There's another platform that is really cool that again, Jim Bakhtiar uses with his team, which is called Vidyard. And they use that to do a review of the CD, which I think is really genius. Okay, so the screen gets split in half. On the left-hand side of the screen is Joanne talking with the client on video. The right-hand side of the screen is the CD, and you can see the mouse cursor going over it. So what they do to review the CD with the client is they record a video and they send it out to the client, reviewing the CD with them, and then saying at the end, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know, which is a much more efficient way than trying to get the client on the phone and going over it with them. You're playing phone tag and all of that, and it's much more dynamic.
Love it. Love it. But I would just say there are a dozen different video platforms that do different versions of this, and feel free to ask that. And again, most of the CRMs either integrate with Mortgage Coach today or it's something that's in the works. So FYI on that, the person that asked for the playbook, I will put a link down below. So if you're watching this, one, there's a link to the lead conversion playbook. And there's a good chance that I will have this article written on the 2020 perfect loan process playbook. I'll have that authored pretty rapidly, and there'll be a link down below for that. For someone who asked us to read the script, guys, this video itself will be on our YouTube channel, and we're not going to take time to repeat anything. Just go back and listen to the recording. So Tim, we got 10 minutes. I want to save the last 5 minutes for rapid questions. So folks, if you want to put some questions in, last 5 minutes, Tim and I are just going to crush, as many questions as we can in 1 minute or less. But I want to make sure that, one, people know how to connect with you outside of this call. I also know you have a new educational platform that I want to tell people about. And I'd also love to get just an update on your coaching program, because I know a lot of great new people have signed up.
Yeah, I'm super excited about our next group. So for those of you that don't know this, I created this thing a long time ago called Loan Toolbox back in 2001. And I never thought, 17 years later that I would be creating another product. But I just found that there was a need in the industry, especially going forward, to forge deeper connections with realtors, accountants, financial planners, and insurance agents. What I consider to be the 4 key pillars of referral-based business. So we've created an entire system. I'm super proud of it. I wish that Loan Toolbox was as cool as this in the way that it's laid out in the form of a curriculum, a true teaching system. It's called the Complete Referral Partner Success System. It's a one-time cost of $899. You will learn all the scripts. I mean, there are over 25 scripts. They're all delivered by me on video and then in written format. You're going to learn all of the strategies. There are over 13 different videos, over 3 hours worth of video that teach you exactly how to get the appointment with these 4 different pillars of business, what to say when you have the first meeting to ensure that you get a second meeting, and how to ultimately forge meaningful, loyal, long-term relationships. I figure it this way: if you get one new relationship from it, it's going to, more than pay for itself. It's $899 one time, but we have a discount of $100 to anybody that is involved in the Mortgage Coach community. I don't know off the top of my head the link, because I know.
There one is in a link in chat. So if you're watching this in Zoom, yeah, we just published the link. If you're watching this in YouTube, or let's just say you forgot to click on the link, you watch it in YouTube, there's a description area down below, and there'll be a link to the playbooks. There'll be a link to this link. Check it out down below.
Worst comes to worst, you could just go to performance-experts.net, and you can, but that will allow you to check out the product in full. But the discount is something that you would want to contact us or click on the link, because that's what's going to give you the preferred.
And if you can't find the link, just email support@mortgagecoach.com and we'll get it out to you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Dave, very much.
And thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. The other thing you had asked about Leadership 360. So Leadership 360 is our 1-year coaching program that we've had for 7 years now. We also have a more traditional coaching model called Performance Accelerator. But the Leadership 360 group 7, so our 7th year, is now sold out. And I'm beyond excited with this group. We have in this group, we only take 9 people every year for the year-long program. And it's Danny Harani, Josh Metal, Mike Stoddard, who's the CEO of Leader One Mortgage, Misty Lapham, Holly Walter, who's a terrific originator out of Atlanta, Dave Baltzer, there's a name from the past for you, Ron Proborski, and Mark Hendricks. So yeah, it's going to be a fun year supporting those 9 people and helping them take their business and their life to the next level. And if you want to know more about Leadership 360 or our private coaching program, it's just really simple: www.performance-experts.com. Or you can just email me at tbraheem@gmail.com, whatever you'd prefer, and I can connect you to the right people.
Love it. All right, guys. So I am a huge fan of Tim. He's added so much value to the community. Thanks for the discount, brother. And for anyone that's looking for a great coach or a great experience, can't recommend Tim as it's just a change agent, someone that can really help you think differently. so that you can execute differently. So big fan.
Thank you, Dave, very much.
All right, so we got 5 minutes left. By the way, I've got multiple questions on CRM. If you want to know what CRMs integrate with Mortgage Coach, go to our website, click on the partners button, and all of the different logos of companies that integrate with Mortgage Coach are there. And like I said, if you don't see a logo there that is a CRM you're looking at, ask the CRM. The chances are they're building it right now. They just haven't released it. So just about every CRM integrates with Mortgage Coach at this point. So we got 5 minutes left. Tim, let's try to do rapid fire, like 1 minute answers. And by the way, folks, bring it. And by the way, yes, it's recorded, so you can check out the recording. Can you do 1 minute? Because it's come up a number of times, kind of that, call it your client for life script. I know you and I did a 15-minute call on it recently, but could you just do 1 minute on how are you making that promise at the point of sale that, hey, I'm going to help you with this mortgage, AKA Mortgage Coach. I'm going to do annual reviews. Could you do 1 minute on that?
You want by the way, the product that we just released has an entire section on how to do an annual mortgage planning review correctly with all the scripts, all the questions. It's really awesome. So is your question just what do I used to say to clients? Is that
yeah?
Okay, sure.
Give us
it's just super simple, Dave. If I'm doing my job correctly, my job really just begins when your first loan closes with me, because from there it's my job to assist you in managing the largest indebtedness that you'll ever take on in your life. People, hire somebody to manage their wealth, but never think to hire someone to manage their debt. And that's 50% of the entire financial equation. Most people that do what I do for a living just provide the debt and then walk away. And I'm not willing to make that mistake because I know how important it is. So when we close this loan with you, I want you to know that on an ongoing basis, I'm going to be continually monitoring the market in an effort to find cheaper money for you. And as those opportunities come up, you're going to be hearing from me proactively, letting you know it's Tim and it's time. And oftentimes, depending upon the loan amount now, okay, gang, I'm going to be able to rewrite that loan for you at no cost by utilizing some of the overage money that's paid to me to pay for your non-recurring closing costs with it. So as a footnote, I just want to say this to everybody because I think that the time is getting closer to being there, where it's not going to make sense for you to be putting your clients into a 30-year fixed. Okay, this is, in my mind, this is the greatest malpractice that I've seen in the mortgage industry in the 25 plus years or whatever it's been that I've been in it, is far too many loan originators put their clients in 30-year fixed rate mortgages when it's an inappropriate time to do so. As 30-year fixed rate mortgages start to increase, as the yield curve starts to normalize, as you've got enough of a spread on a 7 or a 5-1, if you're asking the right questions and uncovering the right information, you'll realize that oftentimes it's a 7 or 5 that is a much superior product for the client than a 30-year, because the probability of them being in that loan 85 months from now, in the case of a 7-year, is very low, vis-a-vis either them not living there anymore or there being a high probability of a rate fluctuation that causes rates to drop and you being able to move them out of that 7-1 into another program that's more advantageous for them at that time. So that's what I'm pre-set. So at point of sale, I'm setting up the next deal.
Which I think is powerful. And by the way, guys, a number of the CRMs in the market now will automatically create the total cost analysis. And so you can make that promise and then just know automatically that family is going to get, a reminder. What if you paid an extra $100, $200 on your mortgage and it's time for your annual review? So a number of CRMs will automatically do that. All you got to do is say the script, click the button, automation takes place. So Tim, one last script, and then we're going to wrap this up. How do you position your perfect loan process with a real estate agent? Give us a script on, how you would describe it to an agent so that it was valuable to them.
I think that the best way is to have it documented, and when you're sitting down with them, show it to them, okay? But the script would be to ask them a pain-based question. So tell me about a time where you were doing a loan with an originator other than me, when it didn't go well, and what you ascertained was the reason that it didn't go well. And then they're going to explain the situation about a horrible instance where they weren't getting return phone calls, or they missed the financing contingency deadline and they lost the deal or whatever. And that's when, now the pain gets amplified. So then, you want to even crank it up further. So what was the affect of that? Well, I lost the deal. Wow. How much was that transaction worth to you? Well, it was worth $15,000 in commissions. Wow. I can see how important it is for you to be working with someone who has a clearly defined system that's replicatable and efficiently moves the loan through the process in a proactive way with communication to everybody involved. And I would also imagine that when you encounter situations like that it makes you look bad to your buyer, correct? And they're like, yeah, I'm the one who referred the person to that lender, and then they make me look bad, which stifles future referrals and repeat customer business for you, right? Yeah, that's exactly right. See how I keep sticking the needle in or the knife in and twisting it and making them feel like all of the consequences of there not being a system in place that generates the favorable result that they're looking for. And then it's at that point in time I say, can I show you what we do? I want to make sure that you understand why we do these things and how you will benefit from having this experience with me and my team.
Love it. So guys, this has been a fantastic call. Tim Braheem, can't thank you enough for your time and the value you brought. If you got value from this and you're watching the recording on YouTube, like it, let Tim and I know that, hey, this was valuable. And please share it. Share it with your mortgage friends, whether you share it on LinkedIn, Facebook, any mortgage friends or your team. I think this call has been so valuable that it would make sense for a branch manager to schedule a sales meeting and just start and stop and talk about this and help everybody get a perfect loan process. Stay tuned for the article that I'm writing. It's coming soon. And all the links are down below. If you could answer this poll question on the way out. Did we surpass your expectations with value? Did you get a few solid takeaways? And if you're new and you want to get a demo and learn more about Mortgage Coach, you're a guest on this call, answer that last poll question.
And
Tim.
Monica, and real quick, Monica, sorry that we didn't get to answer your call and your question, but what I would tell you is that it's such a deep question that has a lot to the answer. Go check out the product. I'm not trying to pitch you on the product, but I promise you won't be disappointed in getting that question answered along with a lot more, because it's right in the sweet spot of what that product's about that I mentioned.
Got it. And then a number of people did have questions that we didn't answer. Feel free to post those in our Facebook mastermind group, and I'll either answer them or I'll push other members to answer them. Tim, super grateful for you, brother.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a really nice summer.
Take care, everybody.